I was in the Navy for 4 years, and I had a well-rounded background, and I learned a lot of different skills and things. And one thing I learned in traveling is that there are people that are a little less fortunate than us, and it is our duty and obligation to give back, because there were people in our lives, I know in mine, that when I was, down and out,
yes.
and people came to my rescue, and that made me the man I am today. So I learned that sometimes we just have to give back. And I started with computers in 1985. I just went and bought one. I bought a PC, and after having it for a while, I wanted to upgrade it. And back then, they didn't have hard drives. They just had floppy drives. It was this little floppy. And then new hard drives had just come out, and I wanted to get one. So I brought it to a shop and asked them how much they would charge to put it in. And the fee was astronomical. So I said, I'm going to learn how to do this myself.
Right.
So I went out and bought a book, How to Upgrade Your PC, and I read it. And I just followed the steps, step by step. And when I turned it on, the hard drive worked. So I was like, wow, that's not
that must
too
have been
hard.
That must have been a good book.
Oh, it's a very good book.
Okay.
And then I just, anytime I wanted to upgrade, like if a new video card came out, I would just go buy it and install it. And I found out that it was really not very complicated. And so
Let me ask you this. So your background allowed you to know how to upgrade, because see, if you tell someone like how to follow a recipe, they don't know like how to follow a recipe to bake something or to make something. So did you have like a certain
I guess it's
type
a
of
talent.
background?
Because
Okay.
I've always had a
'cause you can
talent.
explain
And
something
even
to
when I
me.
was a child, I would take things apart and put it back together. I've always had a knack with things like that.
Okay.
A skill
Okay.
with my hand, work with my hands.
Okay.
So I guess, but you don't really need that with computers, because it's really not that difficult, honestly, especially nowadays. Back then, they were a little more, sensitive.
maybe?
Not really complex,
Okay.
just more sensitive. Like, if you just touched it with your hand, you'd short it out, with static electricity and things. And you still have that problem today, but not as much, because the components are so they're so more advanced now. That it doesn't, like back then when I had my computer was huge. The hard drive was like this big. It was the size of a dictionary. And nowadays, they're this small. So I mean,
Okay.
and, even back then, it would take almost a whole room to have a computer just the size of a laptop today.
Wow.
So it's really a little bit more less complex today.
So tell us what you want to do to help Binta and her organization, and like how do you plan to implement it?
Okay, I'd like to build computers and computer systems for them and network them. I plan on even going there and installing them and networking them and even teaching how to I plan on in the future having actually a class there to teach children how to build and repair computers.
Okay. So, like the process, do you think, what kind of background do the children? You said it's very easy. So
It's not
basically, they just have to know how to read, or what skills does someone like, maybe somebody like me? What skill would they basically need for you to teach them how to operate, how to build, how to maintain a computer?
Basically, all they need is the willingness to learn, because anyone, I believe, who has the willingness to learn and the capacity to listen and repeat what they see and hear,
Yes.
they can do it.
Okay.
It's really not that difficult.
Okay.
It's basically taking this part, putting it in a case, screwing it in, plugging in the plugs. The thing to learn is just which ones to plug in where. And the beauty of computers nowadays is that everything is pieced. Like, you can't put it in the wrong place because it won't fit. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Everything
yes.
is custom built for just that component. So once you learn it once, it doesn't change. All you need is the basics, and then you can build. It's like mass produce them. It's really not that complicated.
Okay. So what do you want your students, let's say they're your students, what do you want them, you say, I Dean want my students to learn X about computers so they can accomplish what?
I would like for them to learn basically the workings of them. And that way they can better their own environment, and they can have a basic skill to start their own business, because I believe a lot of times people, they do better when they do for themselves.
I like that. I do like that.
And I, like you say, you can throw money at a project all day, but if
can.
you don't have the know-how, you're just gonna waste the money.
Yes.
But if you have a skill, a marketable skill, it can carry you into the future.
Yes.
And children especially, because they're sponges. Anything, once you present them with things and ideas, they soak them up. So it's a lot easier to teach children than it is to teach adults, to be honest with you. Because some people, they're set in their ways and they're not very versatile. You know what I mean? They don't like change.